You think the greatest threat to your money is a market crash, a sudden, violent earthquake that shatters the foundations of your portfolio. That sharp, stomach-dropping moment when the lines on the screen turn blood red. You believe the danger is the 2008 crisis, the dot-com bust, the flash crash, the sudden, violent correction that wipes out 20% of your retirement account overnight. We are conditioned, from our very first paycheck, to fear the earthquake, the loud, dramatic, headline-grabbing event. It's financial theater, and it's terrifying. And so, when the markets are calm, when the economy is described as good, we feel safe. We breathe a sigh of relief. We feel like we're winning, or at least not losing. That is the belief, and it's the most expensive misunderstanding of your entire life. The real threat, the one that does more damage to your financial future than all the market crashes combined, isn't the sudden shock. It's the slow, silent, invisible bleed that happens during the good years. It's the constant, quiet hum of a machine that is draining the power from every dollar you own, especially the ones you think are safe. It's not a monster that lunges from the dark. It's a parasite that has been feeding on you in broad daylight your entire adult life. And I'm going to prove it. Let's be honest about how you see your financial world. You see it through the lens of dramatic events. You remember where you were when you heard about Lehman Brothers. You remember the fear in March of 2020. Your financial nervous system is wired to react to volatility, to noise. When you check your 401k, you're not looking for slow, steady progress. You're scanning for disaster. Down 8%, a jolt of adrenaline, a knot in your stomach. Up 5%, a wave of relief, permission to relax for another month. This is the rhythm the entire financial media industry trains into you. Big swings are the story. The Dow Jones is a character in a daily soap opera of gains and losses. This conditioning makes a portfolio that just sits there, or a savings account that ticks up by a fraction of a percent. It feels like safety. It feels like stability. You've done the responsible thing. You've earned well. You have a good credit score. You contribute enough to get the company match. You check the Zillow estimate on your house and feel a small, private thrill. You've built a wall to insulate yourself from the chaos of the market. You believe that by avoiding the big, obvious loss, you are preserving your wealth. That feeling of security you get from seeing the same numbers in your bank account today as you saw yesterday, that feeling is the trap. It's the anesthetic the system uses before the incision is made. You think you've built a fortress to protect your money. You don't realize the parasite is already inside the walls, breeding in your treasury. But you've felt the crack in that belief, haven't you? It doesn't happen when you look at a stock ticker. It happens in the mundane aisles of the grocery store. You pick up the same brand of coffee you've bought for a decade. You know its price in your bones, but the number on the shelf is wrong. It feels like a mistake, a typo. Then you grab a box of cereal, and you notice it feels lighter. The box is the same height, the same width, the art is the same, but when you get home, you see it in tiny print. The contents have shrunk from 14 ounces to 12. The price didn't change, but you received less. It's a ghost of a price hike. Then you see it everywhere. The gas pump clicks past a dollar amount that used to fill the whole tank, and you're still on 3/4 full. The bill for the family's weekly groceries crests $200, then $220, then $250, and it never seems to come back down. Your annual property tax assessment arrives, and the number has jumped by an amount your salary has not. The insurance renewal notice shows a premium hike that defies any logic. Your brain rationalizes this. It's the cost of living. It's an annoyance, a frustration, but you don't categorize it as a direct, personal, financial loss. You see it as an external problem that you need to solve by earning more money. You think, I need a raise. Not, the money I already have is being devalued. This is a critical error in perception. It's the difference between seeing a flood and realizing you're the one standing in the water. You see the rising tide of prices, but you don't feel the anchor chained to your leg, pulling you down with the weight of your own savings. You are experiencing a real, quantifiable loss of your life's work. Your savings. You are watching a thief walk out of your house with your possessions, and you're calling it the cost of homeownership. That's the wound, and it's been open for years. The mechanism at work here is called compounding decay. It's not a term you'll hear from a financial advisor because their job is to sell you products that promise to outrun it. Their job is to sell you the solution, not diagnose the disease in its most brutal terms. Compounding decay is the perfect inverse of compounding interest. We all know the magic of compounding interest, how a small sum can grow into a fortune over time. Decay works the same way, but in reverse. It's a force that reduces the power of your money by a small, almost unnoticeable percentage, day after day, year after year. And just like interest, it compounds. The loss this year is calculated on last year's already diminished value. It's a slow, relentless grind that turns your dollars into ghosts of their former selves. Who designed this? No single person. There is no shadowy room where a committee plots to steal your savings. The architect is the modern financial system itself. For the better part of a century, central banks and governments have operated on a core belief. A little bit of inflation, a slow and steady decay in the value of money is not only good, it's necessary. It's the grease in the gears of the economy. Why? The stated reason is that it encourages you to spend or invest your money rather than hoard it. It makes holding cash a guaranteed loss, forcing your hand. The unstated reason is that it makes it easier for the largest debtors, governments, and megacorporations to manage their massive debts. They can pay back their loans in the future with dollars that are worth less than the ones they borrowed. This isn't a secret conspiracy theory. It's stated monetary policy. It's the publicly announced goal. When you hear a target of 2% inflation, that isn't a bug in the system they're trying to fix. That is the system working as intended. Think about what that means. It's a masterpiece of behavioral engineering. A 2% loss is small enough to ignore on a daily basis. It doesn't trigger your fear response. It feels like rounding error. But it is just high enough to be devastating when compounded over a lifetime. There's a financial rule of thumb called the Rule of 72, which helps estimate how long it takes for something to double or halve. If the system is designed to decay your money's power by 2% a year, how long does it take for that power to be cut in half? You divide 72 by 2. The answer is 36 years. That's the design. The system you live in is engineered, by its own admission, to cut the purchasing power of your cash savings in half over the course of your working life. Who profits? The system itself, the debtors, the institutions that create and move capital. The primary beneficiary is momentum. The system needs your money to be in motion. Stagnant cash in a savings account is a drag on economic growth. It isn't being loaned out by a bank to a homebuyer, generating interest income. It isn't being invested in a company's stock to fund expansion, generating fees for brokers. It isn't being used to buy goods and services that generate tax revenue and corporate profits. So the system applies a gentle, constant pressure to it, a slow heat. It makes holding cash uncomfortable. Compounding decay is the invisible incentive that pushes you out of the perceived safety of the bank and into the chaotic, fee-generating, risk-filled waters of the market. It ensures you have to participate, whether you want to or not. That nagging feeling you have of falling behind, even when you're earning six figures, that isn't a personal failure. It is the design feature that keeps you running on the treadmill. Let's make this real. Meet Michael. He's 45. He and his wife, Carol, have a household income of around $180,000. They are diligent, responsible people. They live in a good school district. They have 2 kids, a mortgage, 2 car payments, and they are trying to save for college. They do everything right. They read the books. They listen to the podcasts. They are the definition of financially responsible. 5 years ago, they made a very smart-feeling decision. Through disciplined saving, they had accumulated a significant sum, $100,000. It was their dream fund. It wasn't for retirement. The 401ks were for that. This was for something tangible, something to look forward to, maybe a down payment on a small vacation property, a major home renovation they'd been planning for years, or just a security blanket for their kids' future. The stock market felt volatile and risky to them for this specific pot of money. This wasn't money they could afford to lose 20% of overnight, so they put the $100,000 in a high-yield savings account. It felt like the ultimate act of prudence. They were protecting their principal. They were being safe. They talked about it at their kitchen table. It felt like a milestone. $100,000, Carol said. It feels solid, real. Michael agreed. It was a buffer against the chaos of the world, a testament to their hard work and discipline. Now let's run the numbers. Over those 5 years, their high-yield account averaged a 1% annual return. Pretty good for safe money during some of that period. After 5 years of compounding, their $100,000 grew to about $105,100. On paper, they made $5,000. They feel good. They open their statement. They see a bigger number, and they feel a quiet sense of satisfaction. They made a wise, conservative choice, but they didn't live on paper. They lived in the real world. In that same 5-year period, the real, cumulative inflation for the things they actually want to buy, construction materials, property, skilled labor, averaged closer to 4% per year. The dream kitchen renovation that was quoted at $100,000 5 years ago? The cost of lumber, copper, appliances, and the contractor's time has compounded relentlessly. The new quote for the exact same project, with the exact same materials, is now $121,665. This is the moment of horrible, silent clarity. It happens on a Tuesday night after the kids are in bed. They're sitting at the kitchen table, looking at the new quote, looking at their bank statement. The numbers don't line up. Michael and Carol didn't make $5,100. They have fallen behind by $16,565. The money is still there. The number in their account is bigger, but its power has been gutted. They look at each other across the table. There's no anger, just a heavy, sinking recognition, the specific discomfort of doing everything correctly and arriving somewhere wrong. The goal didn't just get more expensive, it moved further away. They ran toward it for 5 years, and it receded. They played it safe. They followed the rules precisely as written. And the system, operating silently and impersonally, transferred over $16,000 of their future purchasing power into the ether. The contractor's quote is still open on the laptop. The bank statement is still on the table. Michael picks up his phone, puts it down. Carol refills her glass of water and doesn't drink it. Neither of them says what the obvious next question is. Do they wait another year, hoping the gap stops widening? Do they pull the money out of the savings account and take on market risk they specifically said they couldn't afford? Do they scale back the renovation? And if so, by how much? And what does that mean for everything else they've been deferring? They don't have an answer tonight. They close the laptop. The question stays on the table with the contractor's quote. This isn't just about Michael's renovation fund. This mechanism is operating on every liquid dollar you possess right now. It's working on your 6-month emergency fund. You were so proud to build it. But if it was 6 months of expenses 3 years ago, it might only cover 4.5 months of real expenses today. It's working on the cash in your checking account meant for next year's property taxes, which have also gone up. It's working on your salary. This is the most painful one. If you got a 3% raise last year, but your true personal cost of living, your mortgage adjustment, your insurance premiums, your groceries, your gas went up by 5%, you didn't get a raise. You took a 2% pay cut. And you probably thanked your boss for it because it felt like progress. Let's scale this out. Imagine this small 2% gap. The gap between your income growth and your real cost of living persists over your entire career. This is what Lewis Carroll called the Red Queen's race. You have to run faster and faster just to stay in the same place. What does that do over time? A person earning $80,000, whose wages grow at a steady 3%, but whose personal costs grow at 5%, doesn't just fall behind by a little each year. In year 1, the gap is only $1,600. Annoying, but manageable. But the gap compounds. By year 10, their annual salary is about $104,000, but their annual costs have grown to over $130,000. The gap is now nearly $23,000 a year. By year 20, the total cumulative shortfall, the running sum of every year they fell short, has compounded to over $560,000. Not because they spent recklessly, not because they made bad decisions, because the ruler they were given kept shrinking year after year in plain sight. And this entire process, this slow-motion confiscation of your life's energy, is presented to you as a healthy, growing economy. This is the invisible weight. This is why people who earn multiple 6 figures can feel like they are treading water, like they are one bad month away from real trouble. They are running up a down escalator, and the speed of the escalator is controlled by the system itself. The system isn't trying to make you broke. It's trying to make you productive. It needs you to take that cash, that stagnant energy, and push it back into the economy. Buy the stock. Buy the fund. Buy the house with the 30-year mortgage. Take on the risk. Participate. Feed the machine. Your comfort is the enemy of its momentum. So we need to reframe what saving even means. You came into this video thinking that saving money meant accumulating a larger number of dollars in an account. That is the definition the system wants you to use. It's a brilliant piece of social engineering because it's a definition that allows your wealth to be silently siphoned off while the number on your statement goes up, making you feel secure while you become poorer. The true definition of saving is not the accumulation of currency. It is the preservation and accumulation of purchasing power. The only question that matters is not, how many dollars do I have? But what can my dollars do? How many hours of human labor can they command? How many square feet of property can they acquire? How many years of freedom from work can they buy? When you start measuring your wealth, not in dollars, but in units of power, you realize you've been using a broken ruler. You've been handed a ruler that shrinks a little bit every single year. The system's genius was not in taking your money. It was in handing you that shrinking ruler, convincing you to meticulously measure your own impoverishment and to call it saving. The goal was never the number. It was always the distance from pressure. Think back to the last time you got a raise. Did you feel richer or did you just feel less behind? This mechanism has a name and a design, but it doesn't operate alone. There are others built into the same system, different instruments, same orchestra. That's what we pull apart next. And once you hear them, you won't be able to unhear them.